Just want to start this by saying a quick thank you to all members of the Kinetic Rugby League channel. If you want to become a member and support the work that I do, you can do by clicking the join button below this video and joining for as little as £1 per month. Thank you again to all members, but let's get on with the video. Starting with 12th place and moving down one this week, I have Castleford Tigers. They're currently in the worst form in the entire league right now. They cannot seem to defend or even attack well enough to make scorelines look somewhat respectable. They've scored a grand total of 22 points in their last 5, and if you picked any of their last 5 games at random for points conceded, there's still a 100% chance that they've still conceded more by at least 14 points. They've conceded 44.8 points per game in their last 5. So Castleford Tigers moved down 1 into 12th. In 11th place and moving up 1 this week, I have Salford Red Devils. Their fans were incredible all game, by the way. We heard them before we got into the ground, during the entire game, and after the game as well. As we left the ground, the fans were fantastic from start to finish. But performance-wise, it looked like it could have gotten out of hand after the first try, as it looked quite easy. But after that, everything about Salford's performance looked professional and energetic. They kicked well and restricted meters through the middle. Some teams can bully them up front, but given Warrington's lack of size, it was much easier to slow them down. And Salford made it quite difficult to find line breaks. They also had Jack Walker on debut. Milnes and Mellor were in the halves for their second week together. And they had a backline full of academy-level players. And they all elevated to another level in defence and offensively as well. And Justin Sangare was unbelievable. He was fantastic in the forwards at the weekend. So for me, Salford will move up 1 into 11th. On to 10th, and still in 10th, I have Warrington Wolves. There was such a lack of effort from some individuals, but there was such a lack of creativity. Duffy, Williams, Hayes and Walker were all playing in the spine, but the attack was so slow and flat nearly every single time. Some of those last tackle decisions were atrocious. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing the likes of McKinney, who already looks like a fairly big lad. Hopefully he'll get some more game time in the last few weeks. But I think Gleeson must find some ways of getting this attack going, because it looks so dull and predictable every single week. And there are passengers that do need to go. Warrington are close to that bottom 2, but there is still a bit of a gap that remains, so they will stay in 10th. On to 9th, and still in 9th, I have Catalans Dragons. I expected a loss, but that at the weekend was awful. That was typical Catalans. I thought maybe there could be some positive signs after the win over Cas, but maybe that's just Castleford for you, I don't know. They've put up a good 80 minutes against Warrington, but that's across 2 games. Aside from that, they've barely put together a good 10-minute period in the last 2 months in any of their games. Their pack is easy to slow down. Their attack is still very dull. Wigan lost a man for 10 minutes in their game at the weekend, and it changed nothing. They stay where they are because the 3 teams below have been so bad. But there are no redeeming qualities in this Catalan side at all, and they stay where they are in 9th. In 8th place, and still in 8th, I have Huddersfield Giants. They just lost 48-2. You could look at the sin bins as a reason for the dominance, sure, but they were already down 12-0 before that, and if you remove any points for Wakey during the sin bins, the score was 48-2, and it would still be 48-2. The positive for Huddersfield is that even though they're inconsistent right now, they still appear to be capable of performing to a high enough standard sometimes. They are on positive form, winning 3 in their last 5, but their losses are by 48 and 46 points. Huddersfield, Catalans and Warrington are in a group just above the bottom 2, but that gap to 7th is massive. So Huddersfield will stay where they are in 8th. So next up, I'm going to cover 7th and 6th together because I can't really separate them, if I'm honest. Right now, moving down 1, I have Hull FC, and moving up 1, I have Wakefield Trinity in 6th. But I really cannot separate these sides based on performances right now. Starting with Hull FC, they've now lost 2 in a row. Against Saints, it wasn't the best game we've ever seen, but they played a tough opponent that made it tricky to attack and find points. But against Leeds, who's a relatively similar quality of opponent, they had nothing going for them. Their attack looked really slow and disjointed. They looked really uncomfortable in possession. Their middles couldn't compete at the same level as Leeds could, which is understandable, and they did lose SASA fairly early on as well, which didn't help. And they defended quite well in the first quarter, for parts of the second half as well, but they lost the field position battle and dealt with a lot of goal line pressure. There's a good team in there, but they're on a very tough run, and some games will just be a touch too much for them. So Hull FC will move down 1 into 7th. But for Wakefield, I'm giving them 6th for now just because of theirs and Hull's performances at the weekend. But again, keep in mind, Wakey lost 44-2 to Wigan the week before. And they got a free win against Salford 3 weeks back. There have been a few games recently where they've dropped way too far in performance. Against Saints and Wigan, the lows were way too low. Against Huddersfield, Leeds and Huddersfield before that, again, they were great. But I think performance-wise, there have been a few dips. Against some good or even great teams, sure, that's fine. But that's something they need to figure out soon, as they look most likely to get into playoffs. They've been consistent with their play style, but when it comes to playoffs, they do need to find another level. They need to sort out that consistency. But for now, Hull will move down 1 into 7th, and Wakefield will move up 1 into 6th. On to the top 5 now, and staying where they are in 5th, I have Leigh Leopards. Their 4 games before this one at the weekend were not good watches at all. Last week versus Salford, they started poorly. The week before that, they were way off against Hull FC. The week before that, they were, starting well against Leeds, but eventually let the game get away from them. And the week before that against Warrington, they were second best for most of the game. Luckily for them, they got to play a Castleford side that's in real trouble at the moment. Leigh were able to look like their usual selves with strong carries, fast attack, and solid defence. Lock and Lamb was all over everything that was good for Leigh at the weekend. I think there are 2 things that Leigh need to get fully back on track, though. One is Hodgson kind of needs to clean up his mistakes at the back. That's a big concern at the moment. And they really need Offengawi back in the forward pack as well, because they've missed the power and meters up front, and too many times recently, those drop balls have gifted teams possession in their own half, and then they've struggled to work the ball away from their try line. But right now, Leigh Leopards will stay in 5th. On to 4th place, and still in 4th, I have Wigan Warriors. They've had their star Bevan French back for 2 weeks now, and they've put up 42 points per game in those 2 games that he's been back. They've looked stale against Hull KR, Warrington and Hull FC in a few of their recent games, but we've still seen how much damage their forwards can do, how well they can control field position and open teams up. With their spine back to full strength, they can kick on from here and do even more damage. They'd like to stay settled in the back line for the remainder of the season, but they've got plenty of size up front and their backs will create chances. Maybe we're now getting the Wigan that we were waiting for, but Wigan will stay where they are in 4th. In 3rd place, and moving down 1, I have St Helens. Against Hull Kingston Rovers, they completed at a fairly high rate, 87%, which is one thing they needed to do to stay in the game. They used their forwards as much as possible, which is their best asset, and they defended well too, since they had significantly less missed tackles than Hull KR. Now, their backs had a lot of work to get through, but Alex Walmsley was the only forward in the game with over 100 metres. He hit 135 metres with an average of 8 metres per carry. And unless Super League have messed up the stats here, Percival had 18 tackle busts, which is ridiculous, with the most metres in the game as well. Saints were beaten by a side that also loves to grind out games through the middle, that can also defend well and can also find points when needed. I think given where Saints were a few months ago, and where they were the last time they played against Hull Kingston Rovers, their fans should be pretty happy with where they're at right now, but for now they'll move down 1 into 3rd. In 2nd place, and moving up 1, I have Hull Kingston Rovers. They defended well too, they enjoyed the grind through the middle, and their backs got through a lot of work as well. Dean Hadley ended up with the most tackles in the game with 48, missing just 2, which is a great job from him. There were a few things that needed cleaning up, one being completion rate. They had 10 errors against Saints, 9 the week before against Leeds, and missed tackles as well. They had 61, I believe it was, last week against Leeds, and 47 against Saints. Luckily for KR, they're typically good enough to get away with that, but at this point in the season, they will kind of need to clean that up just before playoffs, because someone will punish them. Leeds were a prime example of that. But on this occasion, some of their star players helped to make a difference in the end. Hiku making so many metres, as well as Arthur Morg as well, and Lewis with that 40-20, on top of the amount of tackles he got through as well. So Hull Kingston Rovers, after a great effort, move up 1 into 2nd. Finally, in 1st place, and still in 1st place, I have Leeds Rhinos. Their defence is looking immaculate right now. Again, that defensive line speed is unmatched. They're getting up so quickly and disrupting the attack so easily. Their middles are gaining more and more metres, finding plenty of offloads, which suits Connor and Miller, and the rest of the team is working together to keep plays alive. They might just need to clean up their discipline and errors a little bit, but in all other areas, they are flying. Lockie Miller had 205 run metres at the weekend, with 9 tackle busts as well. Nobody is a passenger. Everyone contributes on both sides of the ball. But the most impressive thing about them right now, again, is that defence. I cannot get past how solid that line looks, and it takes some real effort to keep getting up that quickly on every single play. They could be the fittest side in the league right now. They could be. If they're not, they're up there anyway. They're on the best form in the league with 4 wins in a row, so Leeds Rhinos stay where they are in 1st. So there you have my Super League Round 24 power rankings. If you guys have your own list or would change anything about mine, let me know in the comments section down below. But as always, If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like. It does help to get the video out there to more people. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with more Kinetic Rugby League content. And if you'd like to become a member, you can do by clicking the join button below this video and joining for as little as £1 per month. But that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.